come to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start with a question. Why is it that ODM MPs allied on the side of Raila Odinga are speaking so bitter, and they seem to look uncomfortable by the fact that Adani deal was cancelled? In this podcast, I want us to delve deep and we'll look at the untold truth about the Adani deal, why the Raila broad-based axis is feeling uncomfortable by the intrigues behind that decision. And what Kenyans must actually understand, and the truth of the matter here is, it was in the interest of the members of public, it was the interest of the citizens of this country that Adani is to be shown the door. I think the civic education and the information dissemination that had happened since November, not since July, when Nelson Amenya and the Kisii Senator Richard Onyonka raised the eyebrows of the country on that Adani deal, the state could not win the public trust. They could not win against a narrative that the airport was being auctioned. In this podcast, we are going to look at the deep secret why Wandayi and Mbadi axes are uncomfortable with the deep state, with Ruto regime. Kindly subscribe to our channel, and also we are building a house for the two brothers in Watamu, Edison and Harrison. Edison and Harrison are disabled, they are crippled. They were being supported by Samre Mwema, who is kicking them out on Thursday, 28th. So they were given a piece of land by a local church in Watamu, and that is the place we are going to put up a 2-bedroom house for them so that they can have a place called home. Apart from that, I understand they're crippled, but they use one wheelchair. So they only have one wheelchair. So we're also going to take one extra wheelchair for them in Watamu tomorrow. So kindly support. I'm doing this video in the midnight, not in the midnight. This is around 11:45. We have 67,000. We are making progress. Thank you very much for those who are heeding this call. Asanteni sana. I may not respond to all the text, but I'm just so glad that we are making progress in this. Now, just want us to get a snippet of Edison making a plea for help.
Mimi Edison, na tuko mahali ambapo tunafukuzwa. Mwenyewe anataka ile nyumba aijenge tena, anatufukuza. Sasa tukapatiwa mahali hapa tujenge, lakini sasa mpango wa pesa kinini pesa ndio nimekoma hapa mahali tumefika. So nataka msaada, mtusaidie ili tuendelee kujenga mahali hapa, tuwe tukiishi mahali hapa. Ni hivyo. Changamoto ya kutembea pia ndio hii changamoto ya kutembea pia. Natembea na wheelchair, yani singeweza kutembea na miguu yangu, ni wheelchair ndio najisaidia kutembea nayo. Sasa ningeomba msaada wa kujenga hii nyumba.
Let's get to this. Let me give you a context. Adani deal was cancelled. And before it, Adani deal is twofold. Actually, it is threefold. This one, Adani, was given a deal for some electronic, some power transmission under the Ministry of Energy. Transmission line under the Ministry of Energy, touching on the Western Belt. The same Adani, there is that a company, that ICT infrastructure, in that consortium, one of that companies, that consortium is linked to Adani. The same Adani was supposed to get a deal of taking over the operations of Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. So the country was asking, how powerful is this Adani? Well, do we risk to give one person all this? And under that Ketraco deal, I want you to see those three deals, all of them are PPP. So because all of them are PPP, the private-public participation, not public participation, procurement, no. It's a deal how government gets into contact with the PPP. I think I've forgotten procurement, if I'm not wrong. That PPP is actually under Treasury. So Mbadi is directly linked. Ketraco deal was actually under Oduor Wandayi. Those two are Raila Odinga axis in that broad-based administration. There's a feeling that that Ketraco deal had been rushed in signing. That one had already been signed. The other two, hiyo ya SHA na hiyo ingine haikuwa. But the one for Ketraco, where Oduor Wandayi is the CS, had already been signed. The day the president was giving the State of the Nation address, that was last week, in the morning, Oduor Wandayi, or rather on Wednesday night, there was a statement. There was a story that came from the US that Adani was indicted in some bribery case. The next morning, Oduor Wandayi was in parliament defending Adani, saying that despite of all that, the deal would move. Only for the president to come in the afternoon to make announcement that Adani had been cancelled. I analyzed that. I analyzed that thing here, and remember the MPs clapping, exposing how gullible they are, because some of them had even been opposing Adani. And they crowned the president as someone who was behind everything. But I think when I analyzed, I said that it is worrying that within the same day, a CS and the president are speaking two different languages. And that is something that is worrying on how the government is operating. How is it that Wandayi said in the morning, the deal is going on, the president came in the afternoon to say no? And remember when I analyzed it, I said that there are two axes. There is a center of decision making in State House, and there is that which the ministry is doing. And the ministry did not know, or Oduor Wandayi axis did not know that the president has cancelled it, because he wouldn't have spoken the way he spoke in the parliament. And I raised some point that something is not adding up. Now, today, in the afternoon, the parliament was reacting to the State of the Nation address. It was said the House was sitting for the State of the Nation address. Junet Mohammed and my MP Samuel Atandi were speaking like they are mourning. They are uncomfortable with the fact that those deals were cancelled. I want you to listen to their speech.
Honorable Speaker, I disagree with the President on the cancellation of one of the Adani contracts. Honorable Speaker, you were in my constituency over the weekend. And Honorable Speaker, you saw for yourself that in my region we do not have stable electricity. The transmission lines, electricity transmission lines are dead. And Honorable Speaker, now that we had these Adani people coming to fix this problem, Kenyans are raising questions about some of these projects, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, there was no need for the President to cancel, especially this one of electricity transmission. Because the kind of damage that we suffer as people from the lake is enormous. Our youth cannot, do things like welding because there's no power. So, Honorable Speaker, on that one, I really disagree with the President. I want to tell Kenyans that when President Uhuru Kenyatta was constructing the expressway, he did it single-handedly. He never did any tender anywhere. And some people complained about it. People even went to court. But today, Honorable Speaker, Kenyans are happy about the expressway. And everybody is using it. They are not even questioning how it was done. So, Honorable Speaker, some of these projects, we need to do them, Honorable Speaker, because we cannot wait. The amount of losses that we incur as a people from Nyanza region because of weak supply of electricity is something which we cannot tolerate further. So, Honorable Speaker, sometimes, Honorable Speaker, the President needs not to be fearful, especially on this one of Adani power transmission contract. I think I fault the President for cancelling that contract. That contract should have been allowed to go on because we need those services to serve our people.
Everything is leaking. The roof is leaking.
You go there when it's raining.
Mr. Speaker, I don't. My God, I request. I'm praying to God that I don't appear there at a time like now when it is raining, because it can be worse. You don't, Mr. Speaker. Kenyans must know, and I'm telling those Kenyans who gave their strong views on the Adani issues, Mr. Speaker, now to give views now on how they want us to transform the airport, Mr. Speaker. It can't be one-way traffic.
When you listen to that speech, you realize, and that is why I asked, ODM is mourning, unlike if you listen to the parliamentary session, William Ruto axis and the UDA axis, they did not speak, they supported that decision. Now, if they're saying now, they're mourning the fact that that Adani deal had been cancelled, and that is why I started asking, what exactly is in stake? Let me tell you, ODM, the broad-based axis in ODM is very solid and is using the ODM legislators as their mouthpiece. The kind of regret that Atandi and Junet Mohammed expressed in Parliament today is the voice from the two fellows in Cabinet. I may be wrong on this, but I wish you get a point. It cannot be that they are really mourning, and that is why, and if you want to know, something is very sinister with the broad-based, something is not very tight with the broad-based. I have a soundbite of Mbadi. This broad-based deal is one that ODM supported with tooth and nail. In fact, even Raila Odinga, in the midst of AUC campaign, had to call a press briefing to lecture the country and confirm to the country that Adani is a clean man. Yes, Raila called a press briefing and we kept on asking, Kwani, what exactly is their interest? They might not be in the airport because the airport one falls under Chirchir. The health one falls under Baraza. But then how about the Ministry of Energy, which is falling under Wandayi? So, Mbadi, while defending Raila, was talking very angry and very emotional about the statements from members of the public.
What Raila said is Adani has done some projects in some places and can be seen, like in Mumbai. They have done an airport, an excellent airport. Whether they corrupted, that one we cannot know. When sisi tunaishi India, nijue amebribe watu huko kujenga airport. There is no contradiction between Raila and William Ruto. There is no contradiction between Opiyo Wandayi, and we are all in government. By the way, the moment President Ruto speaks, Mbadi has spoken.
And that is why I ask again, Kwani, what is the problem? Why is ODM sounding a bit unhappy and they seem to be in a mourning, they seem to be mourning the fact that Adani has been cancelled. In fact, I have seen some question. Someone asked, I think I saw that tweet. Did Ruto cancel Adani deal because of the letter from US? Or because of the case from the US? Do you think Kenya would have ignored? Do you think Kenya had a chance to ignore indictment in US and take what Opiyo Wandayi had said, that Wow, according to their own investigation, they found Adani very clean. Do you think if Ruto wanted to continue that deal, even after that United Nations, after that US case, he would have continued? That's a question. Yes, he accredited, and I think Nani spoke about, he credited his decision based on the case from the US. And of course, it should also be in the interest of the ODM axis that if Adani, even if themselves they had done their investigations and they found Adani clean, but US is raising some pertinent questions about Adani, then they just need to support in the spirit of promoting accountability and transparency. They need to support the decision to cancel Adani, because I don't see my MP talking about the accountability and transparency question that was raised on Adani. But in real sense, he seemed to be pushing a blanket agenda that, you know what, Uhuru Kenyatta had espresso and it was a post, but it was done. So, what is at stake? There are some three possibilities going on here. The first one is very predictable. Was there Raila's broad-based battalion, were they angling for a kill? Remember, these deals, if they are signed under the Ministry of Energy and the Ministry of and the Treasury, then probably those MPs and leaders that are aligned towards the two, if they are sub-tenders, will they be able to get a kill? Or is there something they will get? I understand that Adani is demanding a refund of some money that they've paid. I don't know for investigation, I don't know for what and what. Has that money, the money that Adani paid, has it been shared among some fellows, and fellows are feeling uncomfortable with the turn of events? You need to question that, because the criticism of that decision is very worrying. The other issue is this. If Ruto cancelled Adani and there is another investor in the pipeline, do Raila broad-based axis feel sidelined? Lastly, the goof on how Wandayi was handled, on what happened on that State of the Nation address, is worrying ODM. And probably they feel that the president ought to, and I agree with that president ought to have told Wandayi not to go to parliament, because alijaibisha sana. And that is a worry on the side of ODM. Even though where president is seated, he must understand that the broad-based team that he has in that cabinet, they have some divided loyalty. The other side hiyo iko huko kwa baba, na hiyo ingine iko kwa cabinet. Thank you.